Hi, everybody. I'm Kathleen Byram, and I'd like to read to you from Conversations with Donkey, a Bipolar Journey. I'm going to be reading, where did it go? Here it is Snippets of Life. I remember Mrs. Morgan. I was sitting cross legged on the floor with the other children. It was third grade, or fourth. It was English class. I was always great in English. I had our book out in front of me, and it was fascinating, and I was thumbing through it. I must have been bored listening to a child trying to read or something like that. Out of the sky, like a thunderbolt, I felt a hand grabbing my arm and snatching me up, pulling me up off the floor, and dragging me across the room to another room where she shut the door and gave me hell. When finished, she asked, not kindly, if I wanted to stay in there a bit. I said no and followed her back. Everyone was looking at me. Twerphead McGee, an alias, my nemesis, said with excitement, I think she's going to cry. And that is all I remember of that. Twerphead McGee, his new name, was a little, you guessed it, Twerphead, and tried to make my life miserable. One day, my friend and I chased around a boy whose name escapes me now, trying to catch him so she could kiss him. I was puzzled as to why he was not interested in being kissed by my friend. He loudly called out that he was being chased, in a fakey sort of voice about it, and I thought he was protesting too much. I do not remember how this went. The next day, it seems, I was at the swings, and some children surrounded me. Twerphead McGee was there. I called him a punk. Several children closed in on me, all calling me a punk. I lay on the swing to swing back and forth, and Jay sat on my back. They howled with laughter. That is all I remember that day. The next day, I told some friends what happened, and they were angry. At recess, the crowd came up. My crowd stepped up too. There was a tussle. I remember two girls, fingers locked over each other's hands, struggling with each other. This too I don't remember the rest of. It took me a long time to put two and two together and figure out they were trying to avenge their friend who we playfully chased for a kiss. T. McGee was definitely a pill. One of my parents told me to wait until he was just about to do something bad to me, then yell out his name. So the next day we were standing in line, boys and girls, I think. He was across from me. It was winter, and we were dressed for it. T took his black leather glove and slowly removed one finger at a time as he calmly prepared to slap me with it across the space between us. I watched with interest as he planned his heinous little act. I waited like a spider. Just as he pulled back and was about to strike, I yelled out his name, Twerphead McGee! And the teacher whirled around, and she caught him mid-slap. Ha! He was taken to the front of the line. I do not know what happened to him. It was in fifth grade that I stopped getting my nose rubbed in the carpet when I had to clean my room. This was because my father found out I needed glasses. I was failing math. I couldn't see the board. Something strange happened regarding that, starting in third grade. We had a teacher, Mrs. C., who went through a divorce and ended up leaving. She must have been my math teacher because soon Mrs. J. became our teacher. Oddly, all I remember of her was her reading us stories. I don't remember learning anything that year. In fourth grade, I was lost. couldn't do the work. I felt like I missed something. In fifth grade, I failed math. So I got glasses, and all of a sudden I could see the board. And my grades started raising. By eighth grade, I had an A. I don't remember a lot from fifth grade. A few instances, things not worth sharing. Sixth grade was another story. I was funky, cringy, awkward. In my sixth grade pic, I had a fro, ugly silver framed glasses, and a brown polyester knit dress with a huge lace collar, and the dress came up mid thigh. I looked a fool. Once I wore some purple velvet pants I got a hold of with some purple suede boots the neighbor lady gave us. Some kid asked my friend if I was a stripper. Another time, my lost friend B and her new friend watched as I approached their lunch table toward the lunch line. They stopped me and asked if I was a virgin. I was wearing forest green polyester gabardine pants with a little frog sewn on a hole I had gotten in my pants. Sixth grade. A virgin? I stopped, stunned. My mind freaked. A virgin? What's a virgin? I was stupefied for a minute. They laughed uproariously. She has to think about it. Sixth grade was hard. I almost forgot about M. He was annoying, that one. He constantly threatened to knock my glasses off. He would keep saying, hit me, hit me. And I would just get angry. One day, some people were around and he said it. So I did. I hit him. And he promptly smacked at my glasses. The fight was about to ensue, and our friends pulled us apart. I am sure it was a hilarious scene. I had a bully, of course, as many of us probably did. This bully I will call Little Twerp. LT liked to punch me in the arm for silly offenses and threaten me and walk in front of me. One time, she and a friend stood at the locker on both sides of me, punching me in the arms. All of a sudden, I had a nervous breakdown. I howled. I was vaguely aware of the kerfluffle it caused. One girl ran and got a teacher. Don't remember a lot after that, but LT got talked to. I talked to my dad about LT. He informed me that I needed to kick her butt down the hall next time she walked in front of me like that again. So one day, B's new friend was chatting me up at a table at break time, and I decided to talk to her about LT. I informed her that the next time little T came up and started slowly walking in front of me, I was going to take the ball of my foot, apply it to her ass, and propel her in an arc up into the air and down the hall. Very clinically and drolly, I informed her of this. It was quite impressive sounding. I never got bullied again. Except at the end of school, she came to me and said, I'm going to get so and so, a girl we both knew, and showed me a knife in her locker. I thought, oh, no, you aren't, and informed the office. The next year, she was gone. In seventh grade, I got my first pair of jeans. They were hideous, and I looked like a fool. They did nothing for my shape. I lusted for Levi's, straight-legged Levi's. Too expensive, sigh. So I looked like a lumpy dump. In eighth grade, I started to come out of my shell, just a teensy bit. I actually went to a school dance and thought about dancing at one point. In ninth grade, I was struck by a huge crush. I went into math class, and the most attractive guy I'd seen was sitting there. Instead of my normal routine, I walked right up and sat behind him. Soon he and his friends were harassing me and calling me a slut and a whore and throwing things at me in class. This was hard and confusing for me. I was a virgin. I was very reserved, and I had never even held a boy's hand, and I was stunned. It was particularly bad because I was attracted to him. I believe this experience did something weird to me. That year, I believe, my friend Nancy's mother died. That was horrible. Then we moved away from her, leaving her behind. It was awful. She came and lived with us down in southern Indiana. It was very exciting at first, but my friend's mother had died and she was in crisis. I did not have enough sense to know how to deal with it, and I dealt with it poorly, really poorly. We had an attic room. It was very cozy. School in southern Indiana was different from Indianapolis. Next, I'll tell you about that. I'd like to pause for a moment. I'd like to apologize for something. I didn't realize I had my dentures out, so I'm sorry to you guys for having to see me like this. It's probably a little depressing if you know me. So, I'm going to go ahead and read Orleans, Indiana. Thank you, whoever's here. I can't see who you are, but I appreciate you being here. My first day of school. Okay, I'm from Indianapolis. I'm used to going to an air conditioned school, and in September. We were in southern Indiana. It's a little warmer down there. There was no air conditioning. Oh my God, I was a perfect little snowflake. I had red corduroy pants on. They were really pretty. They were also hot. I was also wearing a red multicolored plaid blouse with a button up lacy collar. I was not comfortable. I was hot, and red was a little bold for me, but I wanted to look nice for my new classmates. I remember walking through the hall, and some jerky kid passed me in the busy hall. He said something like, "You're trying to show off by wearing red pants." Another boy I didn't know but knew of asked me if I partied. I did not know at the time that that meant doing drugs. I said I didn't have time. I wasn't attracted to him and thought that he was testing the waters for a date, which I wasn't interested in, but I didn't want to be rude. Then there was S. Oh God, was he ever there? He looked like a scarecrow. He had straw like hair, and his face was scarred everywhere, and he was too thin and angular. He did strange things. He would take his finger and stick it in your face, in the outside corner of your eye, and shake like this. He would throw spit at people. He was hyper and strange. I wanted to kill him. I did not love everyone back then like I do now. He had a girl give me a note he had written. He said he liked my bobblers and was sorry for giving me a hard time. And when he got his car, would I go with him? I said nothing. I was appalled. I was especially appalled that my very first love letter was from one, S, and two, talked about bobblers. Once in ninth grade, the year before, I received a triangular note from a boy I found attractive in my class. I was thrilled. Before I could open it, there was the teacher demanding it. I never got to find out what was in that letter. I still resent that teacher for doing that. My self-esteem would have soared if I could have read something. One other letter came from a friend of S. I was not attracted nor interested in his mind, as I didn't know anything about him except that he was friends with S. This did not help his cause, as I was suspicious of a guy that would screw his friend over that way, asking the girl he liked out. Years later, I was working in Subway in French Lick, and I was taking a smoke break out back. There was another employee there. Suddenly, strangers, a man and a woman, were standing out there with me, waiting to be waiting on. The employee had gone to the bathroom and not warned me, and these customers got tired of waiting and came looking for someone. Guess whose parents they were? S would have laughed his freaking guts out if he had seen this happen. S did laugh his freaking guts out once. Our classmate A, an amiable sort, was the victim of a perm. He had jet straight hair. It looked like someone bent it. It was hilarious. S died young, and it was sad. I wish I could have known him on a friendlier level and not been aggravated with him. I think he was probably a very sarcastic, funny person. My first friends at OHS were on the bus. They were younger than I and may have been in elementary school, but one was a neighbor. She was so friendly and fun. I loved them both. I used to enjoy going down to her house to visit. One day, when I was new to the school, a girl asked me what my friends called me. I snobbily responded, "My name is Kathleen." To which she said aside to her friends, "That's a snob," which of course she was right. My friend stood up for me, though. She fiercely said good things about me. I was so touched. It felt like everyone was family, close or extended, and some of them were. One boy who seemed popular and kind of cute was sitting behind me. He took a film strip from the projector or something and looped it around my neck from behind. I turned around and gave him the slow Nick Cage head turn. I stared at him. I think he blushed. This was all I did. I heard in my ear another nice-looking boy call out softly in a friendly tone, "He's flirting with you." And I only kind of half registered it. Psyche-wise, this was hard to accept, and I was so uncomfortable in my body. I felt so strange. I gotta tell you, this reminds me of that meme. You know the little blonde-haired girl who's like this? It reminds me of that. Um, there's a meme that says something about, "May I help you?" Some people were richer than others, some better looking, some smarter, so on and so forth. But there wasn't a clique in our class that I knew of. We had nice people in our class. One time, though, something troubling happened. I was in a mixed class of grades. I remember an older boy was in there sitting behind me, and another boy in my grade sitting in front of me. The boy behind me, J number 1, had a piece of molding. He was poking J number 2 in front of me. It was getting in my way too and annoying me besides. Now, I wouldn't have gotten involved, except that I had a massive love for J number 2, the guy in front of me. J1 could go hang, but J2 was good quality stuff. So at the end of class, when the bell rang, J2 jumped up and proceeded to attempt to kick J1's butt. I don't know who came out worse. All I know is I was brought to the principal's office and grilled. I informed them of the truth. I paid for that dearly. One day in class, S was harassing me and throwing things at me, making my skin prickle and my heart race with fear. And a girl tapped my shoulder and said, "There's a bunch of girls after you." To which I burst out laughing. I thought she meant S could have gotten any girl he wanted. You know, like they're waiting in line for him. What she meant was that girls wanted to beat me up because J1 was handsome and popular and a star athlete. We were allowed knives in that country type school. So I carried a big one. But I think what kept me from getting beaten up was the English assignment. The English assignment was to take a box and make it about you, and so I did. And I got up in front of the class and made a fool of myself. Okay, that's what it felt like. And I think they saw that I was human. I honestly believe that saved me. I really didn't want to have to use that knife. I made a friend whose name was Susan. She lived in town. We had fun. She had a fun adult boyfriend, and he had a friend named T. T was scruffy. Yes, scruffy is the best word right now. The first time I met him, my very first date, I was 17. I was shown a picture of a pleasant looking guy with a sideways broken nose and a camel colored suit, if I recall it correctly. I said, okay. So I met him by stepping into Susan's boyfriend's car, and he was sitting there. He looked a mess. Later, he said he did it so I would accept him as he was, sort of. I could understand that. I was not pleased when he kissed me. It was my first, and it was icky. I ended up marrying him. I ended up divorcing him not long after. I was horrible. Horrible. Yes, I truly was. I would get my bank statement in the mail and throw it in the desk. I didn't have the brains to do the statement. I just didn't think about it. I did lots of bad stuff. I was immature and selfish and just bad. It is good for him that I divorced him. I married him at 18, divorced by 21. At the age of 21, I began to show strange signs of mental illness. And that's the end of that chapter. And the next one is advice from a donkey. I see we still have someone here. Thank you very much for being here. You can leave comments if you feel like it, and if you don't, you just want to watch, that's fine too. I'll keep reading. I am loath to give advice, but a little ego steps in and says, Donkey, you might have some good points to make. And then my cowardly little cynic inside says, but you'll make people mad if you try to tell them what to do. See, that's why I show my process. I tell you what I experienced, and you in turn take what you need, leave what you don't. So instead of saying, do this, I'm actually saying, I did this, and you can use that information for your own gain if you so choose. Here are some random things I'd like to share with you. 1. I have found listening to be priceless. I learned to listen, as my father always tried to impress on me. I learned to carefully pick my battles. So many things aren't worth squat compared to losing a friend. Oh, hi, someone else is here. Thank you for coming. I have learned that being kind to mean people can bring beautiful results. Some people are bound and determined to be mean no matter what you do or say. I have learned that not engaging in verbal combat reduces the problems. About 15 years ago, someone told me that love is a choice. I immediately rejected that. Then I accepted it. Then I adopted it and found it got easier and easier to love people. Now I either love or try to love everybody as much as I can. I don't know if everything happens for a reason, but I know that so much can be learned from bad things that happen, even when it happens to good people. Sometimes we don't even know we learned something until it's time for that skill set to make itself needed, and you reach down and find tools you didn't realize you had. And you succeed. Or maybe your bad experience makes the next time easier. I find myself, it gets easier and easier. I find myself looking constantly for meaning and purpose. It does something to the psyche to be told repeatedly, several times a day, I love you, in a loving and or positive way. People's names are important to them. I make an effort to say and spell people's names correctly. Art is a wonderful expression. You don't have to be good at it to do it. There is no reason why you can't just throw a bunch of colors you like on a canvas and frame it and hang it and be proud of how you captured your feeling thoughts and managed to convey it to your audience. I have a house full of my paintings, and they aren't professional grade. Heck, I can't even make clouds, but I love being surrounded by my paintings. I highly recommend painting or finding artistic endeavors to pursue. It's a great way of expressing yourself and keeping track of it in your progression. I apologize when I'm wrong. Maybe I apologize too much, but it doesn't seem to be doing any harm. Oh, geez, I almost forgot. Compliment people. Make it genuine. Don't lie about it. People can see through you even if they don't consciously recognize it sometimes. They do subconsciously and it drives their motivation. Oh, yeah, I have a real problem if I have to lie. It is unbelievably hard for me to do. This seems to serve me well. I don't consider all omissions to be lies either. If someone says, what do you think of my hair? And I don't care for it, but I think it's interesting, that's what I'll say, that I think it's interesting. I won't throw in the part that I don't care for it. What would be the purpose of that? I won't lie and say, oh my God, I love your hair. I just don't do that. It's not genuine and that's not donkish. Donkish equals be honest until it's going to hurt, and then keep your mouth shut unless it's necessary to say. Basically, if you can't say anything good, don't say anything. Well, sometimes bad things need to be said. I'm not usually a 100% gung ho type of person about statements. I see exceptions, and sometimes people fall in the exception area and need to feel valid and recognized. Face your fear. Okay, I got bossy on that one. This is what I recommend you try. Sometimes people have luck with doing it in increments. Others need to jump straight in. Still, others are helped by talking about it. There are all kinds of ways to try facing your fear. Your effort is what means the most. What if you fail? No worries, you made next time easier by your effort. I tend not to speak in absolutes. Creative visualization for things that are hurting you. I have a very vivid and active imagination. By the way, I don't know if it gets stronger by exercising it, but it doesn't hurt to try. What creative visualization means to me is basically fantasizing at a high emotional pitch, using vivid fantasy as a healing balm for your heart. I'll discuss this subject more at length later. And the last one, ask not for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. Or as someone else said, there are no others. What does this mean to me? We are all one. Well, I was hoping I had a little drink here. I'm starting to get thirsty. I have another chapter here called Sports. I see it's been a half hour. I can go for an hour, I suppose. If I have someone to watch, I'll keep going. The sports chapter. I dislike sports. Now, before anybody gets their feelings hurt, I'd like to say I kind of admire sports in a way. because it is the glue that holds some families together. It can also get a poor kid a scholarship, and it's good for you. Lots of things. Teamwork, not good at that. And camaraderie. That said, when I was around 2 or 3 or so, my mother watched me jump off a high dive. She said she almost had a nervous breakdown. She had put me in swimming lessons. I took to water very well. You could say I've a bit of an obsession with it sometimes. It was in elementary gym, however, that I discovered I did not have the sports bug, or whatever you want to call it. First, those gym suits. Oh God, did I hate those. I was not built for gym suits. And I looked like a little blob whilst everyone around was svelte. Oh, I tried basketball around 5th grade or so, maybe. I was in C group. I'll let you figure out what that means. I liked it. Basketball was fun, but I wasn't very adept. I was kind of clumsy. I remember people yelling, Heath, at me in anger and disgust, annoyance, and impatience. I was the type that tries to push when it says pull. By the way, if you were confused by that word I said, Heath, that was my last name at the time. Mom decided I needed dance lessons. I took tap, jazz, and ballet. I liked it. I enjoyed getting up and performing in front of people, but especially I liked the fancy suits. Later, I was so sick with nerves, Mom stayed up with me all night. I liked field hockey and soccer. I did not like the dark red rubber dodgeballs. The bigger boys threw them hard. I was terrified of one smashing my bespectacled face. In 9th grade, I took a full year of PE. When I moved from that school to Orleans High School in Orleans, Indiana, there was quite a kerfluffle of confusion on what to do with me because kids only took PE part-time and health part-time. So I got to go to health and to study hall instead of PE. And that's when I became more confident. I could hide my, I thought gross, body, and nobody could see it in the locker room. No one could yell at me in the gym or on the field because I was being a doofus. I was just never that athletic. I liked gymnastics. That appealed to me, and I loved using the trampoline and doing flips. I remember the crab ball in elementary school. I loved that crab ball. We would get on the floor and walk like crabs and kick the ball around, and it would bounce us. It was a huge tarp or canvas, maybe, covered ball. Did you guys ever have a crab ball? And climbing the rope, I really enjoyed that and was good at it. Running around the track? Nope, nope, nope. I was always last. I was a bookish and creakish kid. I liked to read on my bed. I liked stuffed animals. I liked art, and I liked going down to the creek. I think it was in 3rd grade I met Nancy Price down there at our condo creek. She was probably fishing, but could have been doing anything. She was in tune with nature and animals. We hung out at the creek all our summers long, fishing and gathering crawdads for later release. For 6 years, it was a heavenly spot with beautiful trees and places in the woods to hide and have fun. Once we went into the woods and found someone had a big hole in the ground where it appeared they had a club of sorts. I was terribly intrigued by this and nervous they would catch us finding their hidey hole. So sports? Nope, nope, nope. I does not do them. I don't watch Super Bowl or any of that stuff. On now, I suppose, and I'm looking at the TV and listening to beautiful piano music. Rick is in his music room playing. Things are peaceful. There's no competition. That's the big secret. I despise competition. I won't do it. If someone tries to compete with me, I will collapse in a useless heap, refusing to move a finger. I do not like it, no sir. Now it sounds like Someone is getting up in the house, and I'm going to have to let this go now. I hope you have enjoyed this, and I appreciate you being here so much. Thank you very much. I love you, friend, and thanks for coming. Bye bye.